So when I say the phrase gay icon, most likely you're thinking about Madonna, Cher, Janet, Mariah, Gaga, Celine, and maybe even Ariana Grande if you're under 35 and correct. At this point, the term gay icon basically just is code for a woman whose song you have screamed in a bathroom of a gay club at 1:47 a.m. I feel like we as a community throw around the term gay icon so much, but none of us have given an actual definition of what that phrase means. What I don't want is for this video to become like a lecture where I go through every proposed gay icon and tell you why I think they are or aren't a gay icon, like just going through their whole diva resume. We're not doing that today. In this video, I want to do my best to answer a couple of questions that I know have been on your mind. What qualifies as a gay icon? Why are so many of them women? And why do gay male artists often never receive the same treatment? Hello, if you are new here, my name is Cedric. I cover all things pop music and pop culture, and today, first things first, we need to define what I mean by gay icon, right? When I say gay icon, I mean an icon to gay men specifically, because that is the part of the community that I just like, I don't know, have the most experience in, I guess. But if you are not part of the gay male part of our community, please feel free to comment below. Please feel free to still engage in this conversation. Secondly, when I say gay icon, I am mainly referring to music, right? I know there are like actresses, villains, you know, like the Scarlet Witch, Regina George, Ursula, Cruella de Vil, like, and just know they are spiritually in the building with us, okay? But in this video, I am mostly just talking about pop divas. And thirdly, I don't think every single icon has to be gay, right? I know that's going to offend some of you immediately, and I am sorry, but you know what? Pop culture is messy, and gay culture is even messier. So you know what? Deal with it. My personal definition of a gay icon is someone whose music or image means something in queer spaces. That doesn't mean just someone who gay people like. That doesn't mean someone who like pulls out their rainbow flag out of the closet and waves it around in June. Like someone whose presence in a room actually means something to our community. And once you define it that way, I think the bigger question actually becomes so much more clear. Why, when we are referring to gay icons, is the answer always women, usually straight women, over and over and over again? I think the simplest answer is just that straight women have oftentimes been a safer vessel for queer projection than even openly queer men. For a long time, gay men were not really receiving the best mirrors in pop culture. If there was a gay male character in anything at all, he was the joke, he was the tragedy, he was the sidekick, he was the hairstylist, he was the cautionary tale, or he just acted as the person who could be a stand-in so that straight people could feel progressive for a minute and a half. Meanwhile, women were getting to be loud, dramatic, glamorous, emotional, theatrical, powerful, excessive, and kind of getting praised for it. And if you're the gay boy who's, you know, being told over and over again growing up that he's too loud, too feminine, too eccentric, too dramatic, like of course you're gonna latch on to the, you know, women because they're being celebrated for it. They were able to turn all of those negative descriptors into power. That's why so many gay icons are women who survive public shame and still look incredible while doing it. That's why so many of them feel larger than life. Like they're more than just stars. They're a proof of concept, right? They are living proof that being too much can still get you worshipped. You could say that a gay icon is basically a woman who has turned every single insult society throws at feminine presenting people and turned it into a win machine. But that still doesn't explain why some women become icons and others are just famous, right? Because not every single famous woman with glitter on her eyelids qualifies. So my first test is simple, right? Does the music actually live in queer spaces? By queer spaces, I mean clubs, bars, drag shows, pride parades, late night car ride homes after, you know, you did the do and you feeling a little disappointed at yourself, like all of it. Now, if your song gets played over and over and over again in gay clubs, gay bars, things like that, like that matters, right? Repetition matters, memory matters. And I do think what does help a lot of artists is like songs become bigger when they're played over and over and over again in places where people go specifically to feel freer. My second test is, are you as an artist performable, right? Like, do the drag queens lip sync to your songs at the drag shows? Can people quote you, impersonate you, dress like you? Can you be turned into a meme? Or, you know, can the bridges of your song just feel like a religious experience? My third test is, do you have the drama, the voice, the visual appeal, or like the attitude. And you know, you don't need to have all of these qualities to be considered a gay icon. Like Beyonce, Celine, Lady Gaga, Mariah Carey, like they are not iconic for the same reasons, right? So you don't need to have every single aspect that I just listed out, but you still need to have a quality about you that just feels larger than life. Do we feel seen by you, backed by you, or just like overall elevated by your presence, by your works, you know? And I will say activism definitely helps, right? If you show up for us, we are going to show up for you tenfold. When you truly acknowledge the people in the community who got you where you are, that's when you go from like beloved to untouchable. But if I'm being honest, like I also don't really think activism is necessary for you to be handed a crown, but I definitely think it helps. Now, given everything I just mentioned, I will give you my undeniable list of gay icons, right? On my list, we have Cher, Madonna, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Janet Jackson, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Ariana Grande, Donna Summer, and honestly, I know that I'm forgetting plenty because like, there's just so many, right? And like, when the community is so loud, they're gonna tell me that Charli XCX is a gay icon, and I just don't believe that she is. I know that's controversial, but I will talk about why I think that is. Lady Gaga, to me, is like the cleanest modern example because she quite literally checks every single box. The music means something in queer spaces. The visuals are insane. The community relationship is real, and it has always felt real. The support feels real. Her performance art is real. She is basically like the syllabus of what a perfect gay icon looks like. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they equate, you know, having a massive gay fan base with being a gay icon, and that's just not how this works. I think Charli is the perfect example. Charli has a massive gay fan base. There are so many gays who go up for Charli XCX. If you go to any circuit party anywhere in the world, you are probably going to be hearing some Charli XCX in the background while the gays are partaking in their, you know, party activities or whatever. And I do think that if you were under the age of, say, like 38, like Charli is huge for you, and I get it. I totally understand that, right? But I don't think that immediately then qualifies her as like an intergenerational gay icon that gays young and old will recognize as an icon like on site. And that's not shade. I don't consider that to be shade. That is just me saying that there's a difference between having a very large, very specific, very devoted gay fan base and being recognized in like the broader canon by the whole community as being an icon for us. And I have the same feelings about Taylor Swift. Yeah, I know. Taylor Swift is obviously a massive pop icon. I don't think anybody with, with sense can deny that, right? But being a pop icon does not make you a gay icon. She doesn't give me the vocals. She doesn't give me the drama. I don't get the camp. You will never hear her in a gay club unless it's like an unce mix of I Knew You Were Trouble or something. She just doesn't have the same like visual power or overall like diva mythology that all the other icons that I mentioned have. I truly think that Ariana Grande deserves to be more central to the gay icon conversation. I said it. I feel like millennials and like, younger gays totally recognize her as a gay icon. They know that she's already in the room, right? But if you ask any of the older gays, they typically still look at her as just like another pop singer, like a pop diva, but not like an icon. And I'm just like, I think that Ariana Grande has crossed over to gay icon status long ago. Dua Lipa is another interesting one because I'm not really sure how I feel about her, but what I will tell you is I will never forget last year I went to Palm Springs Pride and there was a moment, it was like midnight or whatever, I was a little tipsy or whatever, and I was walking down the street, and when I tell you there was like 4 clubs on the same street, every single club was playing a different Dua Lipa song. I kid you not. So she's one of those artists where I don't know that she's done a whole bunch of like gay activism or whatever, but if she isn't a gay icon already, she is very quickly becoming one just because of the fact that she makes great, fun, danceable pop music and she's played in the gay clubs consistently. I think the biggest distinguisher is a gay fan base says more about like consumer behavior. A gay icon is just like widespread canon. I do think what I said before is true, that straight women are often just safer vessels for us to project onto, basically. But I think at the same time, it's also because of taste, comfort, and like the way that mainstream culture still treats openly queer men. A lot of gay men, including myself, were idolizing women before they even had, openly queer men in media to idolize over who were aspirational. So a lot of our life experience was built around women initially before we even had another option, right? So now we're just basically continuing the pattern. And also we do have to just be honest here and just acknowledge that openly queer, openly gay men are not celebrated in mainstream culture in the same way. Queer men often get niched down, over politicized, and just like basically dumbed down as if they are speaking to a niche group instead of the whole room. And that's why I think artists such as, Troye Sivan, Lil Nas X, Omar Apollo, Omar Rudberg are not more central to this conversation than I believe they deserve to be. And if we're widening it beyond men, there are so many other artists who deserve so much more recognition because they are incredible. I'm thinking Kim Petras, I'm thinking Janelle Monáe, Renee Rapp, Chappell Roan. And I'm not saying that we have to like kick Madonna out of the house and like, build a whole new fresh gay committee, right? But I am saying, the gay house has more rooms than we act like it does. We can still keep our Celenes, our Chers, and still let Troy sit down. Like, we can still have our classic icons with their seats at the table. Like, Cher might be the head of the table, but like, let Troy sit down, I don't think anybody is asking anyone to uninstall the divas, but like, there's room for everybody. Let's just say that. And while we're being honest, I think we should just say one more thing out loud. A good chunk of the gay icon canon, especially in gay male spaces, typically defaults white. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. I'm just the messenger. And that doesn't mean that, icons of color are not still icons, right? Beyonce is still an icon. Janet, Donna Summer, Whitney Houston, we still as a community consider these divas of color icons. But I have absolutely noticed that like when I mention Beyonce sometimes in these like white gay spaces, they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's insane because Beyonce, first of all, Beyonce's been here for a minute. Not as long as Cher, but she's been here for a minute, right? And in a black gay space, Beyonce being a gay icon is like not even a question. So part of this conversation is not just about who is a gay icon. It's also about, who gets centered in the conversation about gay icons, who is treated like the default, and whose icon status gets questioned more often, especially for spaces that are predominantly made up of gay men, because unfortunately, it is what it is. Gay men oftentimes do craft the general conversation when it comes to gay culture. She doesn't have to be gay. She doesn't have to be politically perfect, right? She usually will have some combination of drama, camp, glamour, vocals, and just this overall larger than life quality about her. Sometimes we identify with her. Sometimes we want to be her. Oftentimes it's both. And that's why the answer is not just as simple as like, oh yeah, gay guys like pop girls. It is what it is, The answer is that these women have for decades given gay men emotional and cultural mirrors at times when our mirrors in culture were either broken or turned away from us. But I do think there's a challenge in that too, right? Because if we just constantly keep defaulting to whatever pop girl is the happening of the week, like we never progress, we never grow to start appreciating the artists that come out of our community. I do not think the solution is to like stop loving our divas or like stop appreciating our icons because one, that's never gonna happen. I can't speak for anyone else, but I know damn well I will not stop listening to my divas. You're not banning Mariah, you're not banning Madonna. It is what it is. But what I will say is I think that we should individually start to at least try to incorporate more queer artists in our playlists, in our daily listens. Because like, yeah, we've over time built up this gay icon house with mainly straight women in it. But like, it's a mansion. There's plenty of room for everybody else, We can admit that straight women are often the best vessel that we have for our projection, while still acknowledging that it should not be that way forever. So there's no reason why we cannot continue building. I know this topic is very messy, and that's exactly why I wanted to make the video. So I hope you had a good time. I want to know from you, who do you consider to be like the undeniable gay pop icons? Who did I forget? And put me on, are there any queer artists that you love that you feel like don't get the recognition they deserve? Like, let us know in the comments. Let us know what artists we need to add to our playlists. And with that, I love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next one.